Welcome everybody to Dan Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. It's episode 166. I'm your host Ricky. With me as always is Dennis.
Oh,
Here we are. We are checking another box off the MCU train, and it's kind of topical, right? Like we're talking about it's the Incredible Hulk, right? That's the official title.
it's the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
With the
Talking about
article.
the Ed Norton's The Incredible Hulk, the weird stepchild of the MCU for a long time, but soon to be revived, accepted back into the family.
Well, no, I mean I think it got accepted back into the family when Civil War came out.
Okay.
Because William Hurt's character has been a decently important part of the MCU since Civil War, right? It was Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And Black Widow. He's featured in all four of those movies.
He's an Endgame? He is an Endgame,
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's been part of the family. It's just he's been the only part of the MCU since this movie.
Not to be morbid, is he like the first person to be recast due to death?
In the MCU, I think so. I could be wrong. I mean, it would be weirder if he wasn't the first person to be recast. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, or if he was the first person to be recast, is what I meant to say.
Terrence Howard takes that title.
Terrence Howard takes it right out of the gate, and then it made it easier for Ed Norton, right? Like Ed Norton had to go, and then.
Well, actually, no. Ed Norton's the first one, then, right? Well,
no.
Depends on how you look at it.
No. Terrence Howard's the first one to get recast because Iron Man 2 is the next movie that comes out. Yeah.
True.
It's okay. But we're gonna get to that kind of fun stuff later in the show. That's what we'll be talking about today. We're gonna take you this year through as many of the original MCU movies as we can, since we've talked about them extensively, but not on the show. So I think that'd be a fun thing to do. Mm-hmm. But other than that, before we get to that, what have you been nerding out on this week?
Well, I just finished the latest episode of Severance 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Great TV. I can't spoil it for you, but it's good TV.
I'll kill you if you do.
Spoilers: Lumen's a bad company. What else have we going through though? We've been slowly chugging through Malcolm in the Middle, and that's been fun. Well, because they're doing the 4-episode reboot thing.
Oh, I think I heard about that.
Yeah. So I'm like, and Selena's never seen it. So I'm like, it holds up. It holds up really well.
Oh, it's a great show. Yeah. I like that show a lot. I think that show was when I first recognized the brilliance that is Bryan Cranston. He is absolutely fantastic on that show. He's one of my top TV dads for sure.
That show made so much money that Frankie Muniz dipped out forever.
I don't think that's why he dipped out forever. I think
helps. The money helps with the dipping out forever.
I think it definitely helped him get his career as a race car driver.
Yes.
And then the accident caused him
successful race car driver.
Yeah, the accident that he was in subsequently caused him to have some brain trauma that probably also contributed to the dipping out. But yeah, I get your point. He had enough money that he could go be a race car driver. So
yes,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good, So Malcolm in the Middle is great. That's a good one. What else you nerding out on?
What else am I nerding
It's okay. It's okay. I'm not trying to nerd bully you. I'm just checking.
Fortnite. Hatsune Miku's in Fortnite.
There you go.
That's one of those check boxes, man, where it's like, I like Hatsune Miku. I like Fortnite. There's rumors of a Hank Hill coming to Fortnite very soon, and I'm just ready to spend another $20 on whatever King of the Hill merch they have.
Do they cost $20? Is that what they are?
I think Hatsune Miku is, if you buy the past, right? I think it is 20. or if you buy the pass with the original outfit. I remember when I bought Travis Scott for years ago now. He was definitely 20.
Okay.
I had to think
Yeah.
about that.
Been enjoying any TikTok lately?
No.
I have. It feels a little different. It hits different now. It definitely hits different, but it's nice to I like it because it lets me like see where people prioritize things, and so I definitely have gotten a lot of information lately on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni because
There
people would rather talk about that than the other things going on in the world, and I'm fine with that. It's cool.
there's a clip that I saw from Blake Lively, and it could be related or not related to that whole scenario. But it's her, like Josh Gad and Justin Long at Comic-Con at the Hard Rock doing a IGN interview. And Blake Lively tells a story about like when she was a teen where she purposefully put on a lot of bronzer to look like Scary Spice. And everyone's just like looking at her like, what are you saying right now? Not a great video of Blake Lively.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm not going to weigh in on this yet. Like I think I'm a little out of my depth on the subject matter, but I am enjoying watching the salaciousness of it all. It's pretty funny. Yeah. You know what I've been in on? Daredevil. I'm going through season 3 to kind of get that refresher because I'm itching. I'm itching for that show. It's we got 5 weeks and counting, and I'm so ready for it. But yeah, my wife, aka producer Lindsay, actually never finished season 3 because I think what happened was I was fiending so hard when it came out, she couldn't keep up with the pace that I wanted to watch it, and so she's like, "Just watch it without me. Just go."
Did
And
it
I
come
did.
out? It's the last show, or is Jessica Jones 2 is the last show?
I think
Or 3?
Jessica Jones season 3 is the last show that ever
But it
aired
was.
for
I
Netflix.
feel like I remember that by the time Daredevil 3 had come out, or season 3, it was already like, we're done. And then am I remember that correctly? And the issue was like Jessica Jones season 3 was done or out.
I don't know if it was Daredevil season 3, but we definitely knew that was going to be the last season for Daredevil. I think by that point, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I finished my Banshee binge last week, and I was just like, well, I don't know what else to watch, so it's time for Daredevil, and it's excellent. I cannot wait for Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio to return. It is probably one of my favorite things that has ever been even remotely associated with the MCU. But I'm happy to know that it is going to be part of the MCU officially.
How many years left of them do you think we got before it gets weird because they're old?
I don't know that question is valid, considering that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU to play Doctor Doom. I think you can milk them for a long time and just be okay with the fact that they're acting that carries something, like I don't mind seeing Daredevil get old. That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like I think the one that's I'm really the most excited for is I want to see Tom Holland get old, man. Like we rarely get to see Spider-Man age, you know what I mean? And like that would be fun for me. But I feel like everybody else, they're entitled to it. So like I want to see Daredevil like dealing with the fact that he's mortal, and he's
Does he have like a mantle passed down person like all the other heroes?
I mean, Elektra's been Daredevil at some point, but like Iron Fist has taken over for him every now and then. Like there's a whole storyline where Matt goes to prison,
Mm-hmm.
and by that point, everybody knows he's Daredevil, but like he's still trying to hold up the lie. So he convinces the Iron Fist to go out and dress up as Daredevil and beat the crap out of people in Hell's Kitchen, just so that they can kind of throw him off the scent, like. But they're not really like legacy, this is a younger person I'm passing on the mantle. It's more
Yeah,
like
it's not a
it's more like
Daredevil lore
can you
thing.
yeah, it's more like, can you do me a favor? I really need to get the media off my back. So no, I don't, not that I'm aware of. Like I don't think a lot of these characters are really set up for that, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
You mean in Daredevil or in the MCU?
I mean in the MCU, like I think
What do
there's
you
a
mean?
lot
You
of.
have like it's a whole Young Avengers already.
You're looking at a very small group of characters.
Mm,
Like there's so much more in the MCU than the Avengers. You know what I mean? Or,
yeah,
sorry,
but
sorry. I mean in the
no,
Marvel
no,
in the
no,
Marvel
there's
universe.
not. Yes.
I meant in the Marvel universe. You know what I mean? Like so, like it's okay. Like it's not like, I mean, Luke Cage does have a kid. Uh, yeah, but like there's no like new Mr. Fantastic or something like that. It's just.
I mean, in terms of power set, yes, but I mean, isn't Franklin Richards tech kind of like a
But
new
that's what
Mister
I'm saying.
Fantastic?
You're what is your definition? Like you're just trying to find a matching power to correspond so that somebody can keep doing that thing. And I'm like, that's not the story. The story is the characters. Like I think the characters matter more. And I think that's why it's okay that there's not that many legacy versions of them, because in the comics they don't have to die, or they don't have to age. You know what I mean? Like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like DC loves to do like stories about, oh, what happens when they get old, that kind of thing. But I don't really need that so much in Marvel. I'm more connected to the characters themselves, the people. Like in DC, like it's the superhero that is the more interesting version. But I think in Marvel it's usually the the alter ego, or the
Mm-hmm.
human component of the character that is the more interesting and fascinating part of the character. So you don't replace that. You know what I mean? You don't replace, like I like, don't get me wrong, I like Kate Bishop Hawkeye, but she doesn't replace Clint Barton. You know what I mean? Like she
I mean,
just,
she's the arrow person on the team.
she's an arrow person on the team. It's fine. You I to your point, no, Daredevil doesn't have Daredevil Jr. Okay, like it's not Lil DD. No, there's not. That doesn't. It's not.
Daredemon.
That might. No, I'm not sure. But no, I mean, could they backdoor one in there really easily? Yeah, it's very possible that guy has fathered many children. Okay, like very possible. Like if a writer was to show up and be like, "Hey, Daredevil, you have 15 kids," I don't think 90% of his fan base would bat an eye at that. They'd be like, "Yeah, that checks out. That definitely checks out." So,
Child support's gonna suck. All right.
then you can just fake his death again, and you're good to go. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's that's been my guilty pleasure this week, is just revisiting that world and getting ready for us to visit it one more time for a very long time this year. I'm so excited. Like it's like 20 episodes, right? Like we're getting.
uh,
Are they gonna split it in half probably?
no, because they're gonna as soon as this season airs, they're gonna start work on the second season.
Okay.
So you might be right. It might be 20 episodes.
I think it is, right? Like I think it's, dude, that's like half the year. We're gonna be talking about Daredevil. I hope that our listeners like Daredevil, because that's gonna be a thing, man.
Man,
Like
I hope it's good.
don't jinx it, please. Like I believe it's gonna be good. That's where I am right now. Like I think we're riding on the coattails of you know, a really solid year for the MCU last year, and I think one of the reasons that they delayed this show was to make sure that it's good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'm going
definitely.
into this with optimism.
I feel like the MCU's last year stabilized, right? Got a
We'll
little weird, a
we'll
lot of
see on the
external
movie front.
factors.
On the movie front, we'll see
I'm
in about.
excited. I'm excited for Cap 4. Like
I want to be excited for it. This
it's a cool
watching the
thing.
Incredible Hulk got me a little bit excited for it. That I will say that. So yeah.
Even though you're not impressed, Harrison Ford in the MCU is a cool thing. Um,
I
uh,
get I get that Harrison Ford is a cool thing, but I'm not convinced that he will continue
statistically, his best roles are presidents.
I want to see the through line from you know, the Ross that we've known
Yeah.
to the Ross that we get. And I got to tell you right off the bat, not having the mustache is making it harder to see that connection. You know what I mean? Like it's like I can't.
How do
I
they
want to be
do
able
in
to.
the comics? Does he lose the mustache when he turns
I
into the Hulk, or
no,
does the Hulk have him?
it's super awkward in the beginning story of that comic because when I mean we're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, the Red Hulk in the comics, it started out as a mystery. Like every
Yeah.
issue was like, who is the Red Hulk? And it was pretty. I felt pretty cheated because yeah, he had the mustache every time you saw him, not as the Red Hulk, and then every time they're fighting the Red Hulk, there's no mustache. So I was like, what's going on there? But there have been later iterations of the artist drawing the mustache on him. So I can't believe me. Like I'm not a big fan of the Red Hulk primarily because of the mustache. The mustache threw me off. I was like, that is such a red herring. Like, how are we supposed to, or not a red herring, just a misdirect? You know what I mean? Like, because if I saw the mustache, I'd be like, I know who the Red
He
Hulk
just
is.
shaves. Well, his
Yeah.
skin gets really hot and it burns off just his
But
facial
his head
hair.
hair does not.
Yeah, because why not?
I would have preferred if he was bald. Then I would have been like, okay, this tracks. You know what I mean? Like this that makes sense. So it's fine. Don't worry. I'll get over it, I'm sure. But I'm just saying at the moment, it would have been nice to
So they're doing a step up though, then, right? So if he doesn't have a mustache now, then it tracks.
yeah.
His hair does get like
I'm not
jet black
talking
though.
about the Red Hulk. I'm talking about
Oh,
let's get a through line on the General Ross. Like, you know, it'd
okay.
be great if the first episode is him taking the office and shaving the mustache. Like that, shave the mustache off in the first 5 minutes, then I'm like, all right, we got it. We're good. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
there's a line in the trailer where he says, like, it is a thing. Like, statistically, presidents shave because it's a better public appearance. Like he does make a comment on that.
fair enough.
Um,
All right. That's cool. I'm cool with it.
all right.
I do think it's interesting that like in the MCU at this period in time, you have General Thunderbolt Ross becoming the president of the United States, and meanwhile you have Wilson Fisk becoming the mayor of New York City. Like that's
Is that better or worse than our current situation? I mean,
yes. 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 That's all I'll say on that subject.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we do some news?
I'd love it. Let's go.
James Gunn took the X today actually.
I can't handle how often this guy's on X, man. Like he's busy. He's like yeah.
Well, he's the head of a studio now, but he basically announcing Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, starring Millie Alcock and Jason Momoa. It started filming, so it is the next DC. What is it? I guess DCU movie, right?
I think they call it the DCU now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm cool with it being a 1-2 punch of Superman and Supergirl right away, but I'm not gonna complain. Like,
I mean,
we'll
there'll be a peacemaker in between, right? And
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So yeah, I just want more content in between that's not, you know what I mean? Like his job is to like flesh out the DC universe. So like I want to see more than just the super part of it, like
is it canonically though? Supergirl, I guess her most recent stuff. She's more of a space person, right?
I mean she's a time traveler too. She does a lot of
Okay,
things. Like
but she's
she's
not. She's not Earthbound like Superman is.
I mean, she's a lot there's a lot of her story is on Earth, but like a lot of it is in like the 31st like century or something like that,
Okay,
like it's a mix. Pick your poison. Like there's long stints in the current time and then in the future and then out in space and stuff, so I'm not upset about that. Like and I'm fine with Supergirl being a bridge for us to get to see more of the cosmic part of the DC universe.
it
That'd be
gets us a
great.
Lobo, right? That's. I feel like that's a big.
It gets us a Lobo, and it could get us a lot of other things besides Lobo. But I really hope Lobo delivers because, like, here's my thing, and we'll talk about it a little later. But like, sometimes it's not good to get the person that is like the most diehard fan ever for the character to play the character. And just looking at Jason Momoa, you know that that guy grew up getting a healthy dose of Lobo in his diet every day. Like that man loves Lobo, and sometimes I just want to put this out there. Ben Affleck loves Daredevil. Loves Daredevil. It doesn't always pay off. Sometimes you're a little too close. You know who else loved their character a little too much? Ed Norton. Ed Norton's favorite character, Hulk.
Hulk tracks.
Nick
If I
Cage's
had to leave
favorite
him,
Nick Cage's favorite character, Ghost Rider.
dude, yeah.
It's a little, you know what I mean? Do you see the pattern here? Like sometimes it's a little, you, the it's a little much, and so I'm hopeful that Jason Momoa can just ride the wave of awesome and just uh, his only acting direction that he really needs to receive is, hey, just be yourself, man. Just be yourself. Like, and then we're
Well,
good.
I will. I don't know if I want that though, because I feel like he's himself as Aquaman, right?
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's like
There's a little bit more to Lobo than just being himself, and so it's a good serving of Bastich. He's got to say Bastich a lot and some other weird space curse words and stuff like that, and frag this and blah blah blah. But yeah, no, I hope he really, you know, like hones in on that space biker that he needs to be, and doesn't just you know doesn't get lost in the awesome fandom of it, because like it's a job. Go do the
yeah.
job, and hopefully it works, like it comes out good. This is me not complaining about Jason Momoa. I think that's the most perfect casting you could do. I just hope that it pays off. That's all.
Hope that it pays off. I hope this pays off as well. While doing press for his upcoming movie, I think The Thing with Feathers, Benedict Cumberbatch revealed to Variety he's not in Avengers Doomsday.
Yep, he's got to go deal with his incursion, right?
Yeah, he's off with Charlize Theron.
I mean,
Uh,
hey, it's a many years long incursion, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what the timeline is anymore on these movies. Like, is it all taking place within months of each
I
other?
mean,
Or
there's a book you can buy for $49.99 that has the timeline up to Infinity War.
there's
Actually,
a
there's a book though. Yeah,
oh really?
it's like I think it's called like literally the official MCU timeline.
Hmm. Go buy it. Tell us
I
how
might
it goes.
Secret Santa next year.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad. I don't think we need everybody under the sun to be in Avengers Doomsday. Like, it's okay. It's okay if Benedict Cumberbatch takes a break from that one. Because I promise you he's in Secret Wars. That's not You know what I mean?
Everyone better be in Secret Wars.
Everyone's in Secret Wars, so we'll see. We'll see. It's fine.
All right.
I'd rather see a Doctor Strange 3 like happen after Doomsday before Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool to catch us up on where things are going. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like the way we got like Captain Marvel 2 before, or sorry, we got Captain Marvel before Endgame. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we met Captain Marvel in Infinity War, and then we got a movie between. Yeah, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else you got?
Rounding out, we had some Marvel Legends news. We're getting a No Way Home Electro for all you Jamie Foxx fans.
It's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful. I love the face.
You got to complete the set now. We are getting.
Did you ever report on the lizard? The lizard that was a few weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't remember that. Yeah, okay.
We're getting an X Factor Jean Grey, a Target exclusive. Comes with the masked head and the unmasked. Like they're both masked head, but one has hair, one doesn't. Hair tucked in, hair tucked out.
Oh yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
But people seem upset with this figure because she's missing the yellow boots. Indeed.
I'd have to look. I don't really. It's not my favorite costume of Jean Grey's, but like, sure, if she's missing the yellow boots, I could see how that would be offensive.
But
I can see that.
The big kicker, though, is there is a new, we call it a subline that's coming out, starting with Spider-Man. So it's called the Marvel Legends Maxim series. It
Maximum.
is Maximum series. It's basically a Spider-Man's legend with all the accessories,
but probably $50.
That seems on par, though, right? How much is the Mafex figure? Like 70?
Well, it's 70 because of import taxes.
I feel like it's the equal value.
Like, a Mafex is like $50.
So this Legends comes with 3 heads in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pairs of hands. A bevy of web effects and a Peter Tingle effect.
I know it's the first Spidey sense to ever come with a Marvel Legend toy. Do you know that? That's so crazy. It's a new sculpt. It's a new sculpt actually on the Spider-Man as well.
Got all the toe articulation, the belly articulation, the arm articulation.
It's a pretty good looking figure. I'm not gonna lie. It does make me feel a little weird just knowing that like it's like how many different ways can we release this character, and like it's
I mean, they got you, right?
Well, they didn't get me. I didn't pre-order.
I think 50. People seem to be complaining about $50. I think that's appropriate.
I don't know. Like at the same time, here's my problem. They also announced another wave of figures, right? They announced another wave of figures, and this line is the common bond in this line is they all come with a miniature comic book of the story that they appeared in. And I think that's so gross to do that instead of just put a Build-A-Figure piece in there. Like, we want Build-A-Figures. We just want more. We want quantity. We want more characters in the Marvel universe that we can't get, because the Build-A-Figure is the only way that we can get certain figures of that size without them just selling it individually to us for $50. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, you got a Dragon Man,
which was not a Build-A-Figure. You know what I mean? Like, and they charged more than $50. So I'm saying, like, every time they do a wave of Marvel Legend figures without a Build-A-Figure and still charge you the same amount as they would with a Build-A-Figure, I feel a little bit cheated. And so that's why I'm like, is $50 the right price for that Spider-Man? I don't know, because a lot of those accessories we already have. A lot. So like, you're just selling us
a lot of the webs. The hands are unique though.
Some of the hands are unique. So like, I'm just saying, like, as somebody who's getting a little jaded on the practices of how they're doing this, I can understand why fans would be upset that they potentially might start selling the perfect version of every character you've ever wanted or already own for $50. You know
I
what I
mean, you
mean?
say that now, but then every year there's a better Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it's $25.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, so
things just get more expensive, man.
that's a huge increase in price.
People are inside. People are saying GTA 6 is going to be like 80 to $100. Like, I mean, the way we are now, things cost more.
Things always cost more, but like it's even then what you just said, 80 to $100, that's still not double the cost of GTA 5.
It's not.
I'm just saying, you know.
Certified peg warmer is
And
what Dennis is
we're
saying.
speculating. We don't even know how much it's actually going to cost.
Yeah, it's
I
going to
think
be $39.95.
they're waiting. It's almost like they're waiting for like when PlayStation and Xbox were coming out with their new systems, and Sony's like, wait, hold up, let's see how much Microsoft says theirs is first before we drop our price. You know, it's like they're waiting to hear the blowback from the fans to decide. Oh, fans are really pissed at 50.
Well, it's supposed
Let's
to go on
go.
pre-order soon, right?
Yeah, but they're like, let's go
February
45.
13th.
Let's go 45. See what happens. You know, it's
Sure, I
also
mean,
peg warming right now.
mm.
Them Captain America Brave New World toys on store shelves.
Yeah, that's people are racist.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
2 out of those 3 toys that are out
are no longer working in the government as of yesterday.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. So I'm surprised there's not more. I mean,
Yeah, I'm weirded out that they released a wave of just 3 figures.
I mean, they are all 3 big figures.
They're all deluxe figures that cost like $40 to $50.
Yeah. They got the wings.
Yeah.
No leaders, a little weird.
They charge you the same amount for a full wave of 6 figures, but for only 3 figures.
I mean, I guess the Hulk doesn't have likeness. I'm sure that's expensive, but they have likeness for Indy, right? For Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
So, Sabre, I get
Sabra.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabra.
That's a different can of worms right there. Giancarlo, he probably came in late in the game, so he came in in August of last year to start filming that movie. So
we'll see. Again, I'm not trying to be bitter. I'm just saying, I'm just stating, I'm noticing a pattern here, and I think we need to be aware of our love of this fandom potentially has its limits, guys. I'm just saying, just chill out. Let us just enjoy the things that we love, and maybe don't try to extract every bit of value that we have, because it just makes me a little sad when I see that kind of thing. But corporations go to corporation. That's what's going to happen. So
yep.
What are you going to do? Let's keep going. Let's get on to something a little more happy. You want to talk about the Hulk?
Let's talk about it. (2008) Incredible Hulk.
Great year.
Ed Norton, William Hurt. I'm totally blanking on her name.
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler. Steven
Tim
the
Roth.
daughter.
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth.
Tim Blake Nelson. Ty Burrell. Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, you're kind of scraping the IMDb at that point.
I mean, but Tim Blake Nelson and Ty Burrell are famous actors, man. They're
well, now they are.
Lou Ferrigno's freaking Lou Ferrigno, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not scraping nothing. You want me to scrape? Let's go with Deborah Nascimento.
Is that his last acting credit, Lou Ferrigno?
No, he's the Hulk in Avengers also.
Oh yeah, he does the voice.
Yeah,
he doesn't still do the voice though.
He stopped. The Avengers was the last time.
Okay.
After Avengers, I think Age of Ultron, it's Mark Ruffalo. But he was the voice of he's credited as the voice of the Incredible Hulk in this movie, in in the
Yeah, I
Incredible
knew it was
Hulk.
for this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know why I'm scraping. He's literally the title character in this. Like, how is that scraping, man? Like, it's cool. It's cool that they got Liv Rigno to be the voice of the Incredible Hulk. I think this movie is a weird thing. And I think it's
Well, walk me up. I I was not as in tune to the Hollywood space in 2008. Um, when did you first become aware of this movie? We when did you I guess when did you first become aware of this movie? When did you realize that it's actually connected to that movie you saw a few months earlier? And when did you realize? And was Ed Norton a big
one
thing?
month earlier. It was only 1 month.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so I'm fairly certain that Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk were both discussed at Comic-Con that the year before.
Mhm.
I just think the hype for Iron Man was really big, and maybe the hype for the Hulk wasn't, because you got to remember this is only like what 5 years after Ang Lee's, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's not that long ago after Ang Lee's movie.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of weird, like, because I think Batman was the only one who had done reboots really, like, in a meaningful way at the time. But even Batman had a longer gap between movies, right? So I think there's a weird feeling around when you see a reboot of a franchise a little too soon. It feels weird, right? Like, it just feels off-putting. You're like, I feel like you're doing this because you have to, not because you want to. You know what I mean? And I think the problem with that movie is it wasn't clear. Is this a sequel or is it a reboot? You know what I mean? Like, and that would all be cleared up later. But so I definitely don't think that anybody knew that it was going to be connected to the Iron Man movie that was coming out, right?
Mhm.
We had no idea until the final scene in Iron Man that they were even attempting to do a connective universe, right?
Well, to me, this is what I would probably count when the MCU began, because this is yes, you have a Samuel L. Jackson at the end of Iron Man,
I mean,
but
he literally says the Avengers in that
yes, he says
movie.
it. Yes, but the first inkling of it, like realize, happens in this movie with RDJ appearing as Tony Stark.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Like I see
you,
it as
you
like you
literally
get
were you literally were geeking out last week about Captain America's shield being in Iron Man 1.
yeah, but there's a difference between playing with the toys accessories and the toys themselves. Two
I will
two
give you credit.
toys
I
played
will give you
together.
credit. The moment that Tony Stark shows up in the Hulk, I perked up, because the rest of the movie is it's a little boring for me. It's a little meh. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. I like it better than Ang Lee's. But I just don't think I don't think it did a great job of, like, making me feel for any of the characters in the movie until Tony Stark shows up. So yeah, I'll give you that. But I disagree that the MCU started at this movie. I think the MCU started in Iron Man in a very big way. Like, they made a very great effort to, like, show you this world that they were building. They were building out Shield. They're building out the Avengers. They're building out the Ten Rings. They're referencing, like, all kinds of things, all left and right, all over the place. And you're just like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're establishing a world in which a lot of things can happen that we might see down the road, that we recognize. Um, and then I think having that little thread, honestly, before Tony Stark, I think the Shield thread in the movie,
Mhm.
when you see the Shield logo, and it's the same logo that we saw
Yeah. Well, at the start of the credits, there is like Stark Tech. Um,
and Super Soldier
there
references.
is Super Soldier references.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I think Tony Stark at the end of the movie is like the freaking icing on the cake, is what it is. You know what I mean? Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh yes, they like what he is the same thing we've been talking about for like the last few months now, right? Remember how I was like kind of meh on Creature Commandos? Like every now and then it was like, okay, this is fun, but what are we doing here? You know, like, and then Batman shows up and I'm like, all is forgiven. Let's go. Let's do this. For me, that's what this was. Like, I was like, I'm a little meh on this Hulk movie. And then Tony Stark
I
shows up and I was like, yes, we're good. We're
I
in.
don't dislike this movie. I don't as much as other people do. I
I
thought
don't dislike it.
it's a
I don't
good.
dislike it.
It almost feels a, a little more one shot is like one shot esque of
Yeah.
like, hey, it's just the Hulk doing. He got caught. Now he's got
Yeah.
to.
Well, you know, the funniest thing about this movie is from a production standpoint, it was basically a sequel to the original movie. And
Yeah.
thematically, like story wise, it continues the plot directly from the first movie. It's just they replaced all the actors, you know, and it's really like it in no way contradicts Ang Lee's Hulk other than visual appearances. You know what I mean? Which is kind of funny and weird. And it's because it had a lot of the same producers, and they set about this movie originally with the intent of making a sequel. And so Eric Bana was asked to come back for this movie originally, and then when he said no, they kind of like, you know, they started pivoting, and so I think it wasn't. They weren't sure if it was going to be part of an MCU or just a sequel to the Hulk. And then so Gail Ann Hurd, you know, who's the producer, she actually has been quoted as saying like, "Yeah, I like to call it a requel." You know what I mean? Which
Mhm.
I prefer rebootquel, but that's essentially what she saw the movie as. It's a reboot and a sequel at the same time. Um, so,
Well, it
but I think
almost
that muddies the waters.
legitimizes well, I don't think it does because I think the best MCU movies to date are the ones now that fuck fuck the origin story. Like you guys know what the Hulk's about.
Well,
We're
that
just gonna get into it.
yes,
Spider
that is
Man. We know what
yes.
Spider Man's about. Let's just get into a Spider Man story.
But the difference, I wouldn't say it's the best ones. I think it's just like because I think Iron Man is an excellent MCU movie that
Hmm.
also happens to be an origin story. I just think nowadays, like we don't like certain characters are so ingrained and so like part of the zeitgeist that like they don't need it, right? Like we don't need we don't need Superman's origin story, right? Like that's
No,
we freaking know. See, everybody
like
knows Superman's story. We don't need to
Fantastic
see.
Four. I don't think we're getting an origin story there, right?
We might get a hint of it. We might get a hint, but it doesn't have to start from the beginning. And that was kind of Louis Leterrier's point of this movie is it doesn't have to start there. You know what I mean? Like some of like the best stories don't start at the beginning. And so I appreciate that this movie lets like Bruce revisit flashbacks of things throughout the movie, but we understand already what's happened because he's the Incredible Hulk and he's part of like, you know, he's a pop culture phenomenon. So like, you know, I wish that more Batman movies approached Batman the way the Hulk did or they did the Hulk in this movie, which is you don't need that. You know, right? You've had a 1970s TV show that was like one of the most popular shows on TV. You had Ang Lee's weird thing that he did. Like if you haven't seen either one of those or the cartoons, like what rock are you living under? You know what I mean? And so I do agree with you. I think that's a great way to approach the Hulk. But I think Captain America and Iron Man and Thor need origin stories because they're not popular in the same way. You know what I mean? Like I think you know if you ask at the before 2008, if you went around and asked anybody like who off the streets like name 5 superheroes, it's gonna be like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Hulk, Wonder Woman. That's those are like the jam. Maybe the X-Men, like Wolverine or something like that, but that's only because of all the Fox stuff recently, but like yeah, it's like for what, like 40, 50 years in pop culture, those characters have just been around. And so yeah, it's a smart decision. It's a smart way to handle him. And it makes the movie have a lot of room to tell a story we don't know, and yet it doesn't, right? It just basically does The Fugitive for most of the movie. You're just like for me, my problem with the movie is like you have Ed Norton, who is like an amazing actor, and for much of this movie, he's doing one of two things: running or typing.
He's good running. He can type well.
It's a lot of it though, right? Like it's a lot. Like it's a lot of him every time he's running or typing, it's him not delivering lines. And I think that's a weird choice, especially knowing how much of this movie he rewrote. Like that's weird. It's weird that he rewrote so many scenes in this movie, and yet a majority of this movie is him running and typing. And I think that's where Iron Man succeeds, where the Hulk fails, right? Is the pacing of Iron Man is great. Like we're getting to understand a lot about Tony Stark in one movie. And in this, I feel like I don't really know a lot about this Bruce Banner. You know what I mean? I think they just want me to assume it's the same Bruce Banner I always know, but like I don't feel like very connected to him as a person. I just know that it's very bad if he gets angry. Right? Like that's it, right? Like that's his thing. Like that's and he likes Betty. Like these are very superficial things, and I would have liked to have really understood more about him.
Well, I mean, maybe I think you got that with the Ang Lee Hulk. You got that a lot in Ang Lee's Hulk. A lot of backstory and the trauma and the.
We got a lot of him being weirdly confused about his dad, who's
you got a lot of emotional Bruce Banner in the last movie. So I think where I appreciated this movie was you got a lot of Hulk in this movie. You got a lot of Hulk doing cool Hulk shit.
But did you find it weird that the Hulk's always a lot of times in this movie he's standing around calmly? Like
he's more controlled, but I think that tracks right with he's been the Hulk. Well, he hadn't had an outburst in a long time, but it's not like this is new to him.
Yeah, but I think the Hulk himself is a rage monster. You know what I mean? And one of my things I really appreciate about the Avengers is like the direction they had for like the Hulk is he's always moving forward. You know what I mean? Like he's constantly like he's like a juggernaut. You know what I mean? Like, and in this movie, it's a lot of the Hulk standing around almost thinking about stuff, and I'm like, nah, stop standing slow, stop standing still. I don't like the standing still, because every time you're standing still, I'm expecting you to turn back into Banner, and I don't want to see Banner right now. So I do like that we got to see a lot more Hulk, but I just would have liked him to be a little bit more less refined, like a little bit more edgy, because I don't know, like the story's not telling me how we got from the Ang Lee Hulk to this Hulk, right? He just breathes a lot. He controls his breathing. Like,
yeah, he's got a Fitbit.
Fair enough. If that's enough for you, but it's not enough for me.
I didn't mind it, and you gotta take these things in when they came out, right? I don't.
Yeah.
This had a whole different sequel plan.
Yeah.
That was not the Avengers.
For sure. Yeah.
This is still, again, early days where, hey, we're trying this thing out, but this house of cards that we're trying to build can fall down. So reminding everyone, this is not a MCU movie, or not a Marvel Studios, or was it Marvel Studios produced movie at the time?
It was Marvel Studios, but it was distributed by
Universal. There you go, by Universal.
Yeah.
And it's a different. you're not playing with what's the word? You're not playing with he was on loan, right?
I mean, kind of, yes. Like it's there's legal complications with that character that involve them splitting their profits with somebody else. Yeah.
So I think at the time it's a good Hulk movie. Like I really do think that like there was a game I played a lot as a kid. It's the Hulk Maximum Destruction.
Uh, not
Ultimate
maximum, just
Ultimate Destruction.
ultimate destruction. Yeah.
And there's a move where it's an open player Hulk game or open world Hulk game, and one of the things you can do is grab a car, rip it in half, and use it as boxing gloves. And that was to me that was a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him in the movie do that exact thing, I'm like, yeah, it looks like the Hulk. He's doing Hulk shit. This is a good movie for me.
He did a lot of Hulk signature moves. Like he did the clap.
He did the clap. The big Hulk thing.
He did the thing where he jumps around on buildings like crazy. Like, because like I read one of the critiques of like the Ang Lee one is like he's kind of weightless the way he jumps in that movie. Like it's like he's floating sometimes too much. And so they wanted to have him have more weight in this movie. And like, so I like when he's doing his Spider-Man through the city scene at the end of the movie and he's jumping from building to building and he's like wrecking stuff like as he's jumping, like it's cool. I'm like, I kind of like this. This is like, it reminds me of Toby swinging away at the end of the first Spider-Man movie.
I think it also gave a good sense of like, so when he kicks, I can't remember the bad guy's name.
The Abomination.
Well, his real name, but
Emil Blonsky.
When he kicks
Emil,
super soldier Emil,
into the tree,
he like fucks him up like bad, like really bad.
Yeah, it's definitely a Hulk that was not afraid to kill people for sure.
No,
yeah,
but giving us those glimpses on what he actually is. It's one thing to see him destroy tanks and buildings, but yeah, he's
when he ragdolls people, right?
When he ragdolls people, he's a pretty violent dude. And granted, the cop out there is he has a super soldier serum, Blonsky, so he survives.
Yeah,
but even with that, he's still out of the picture for the entire second act of that movie because of it.
Yeah, the action is very cool. Some of it doesn't make full sense. Like I'm still a little confused by those sonic guns that they used on him. But
Stark Tech.
But
just having the Stark Tech logo on it. Okay, it's some crazy shit.
They look cool. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do think one of the things that really weirds me out about this movie is, and it's I think, where because I couldn't help but compare this movie to Iron Man then, and I still can't now because they were a month apart, right? And by the end of that movie, we understand that they are in the same universe. And I will say that the visual styling of the characters, the iconic characters in this movie, feels a little off compared to Iron Man. Like, I think Iron Man, they knocked it right out of the park, right? And it was weird to me when I was watching this movie because I was like, man, I can't believe that was Ryan Meinerding's choice to design the Hulk that way, because Ryan Meinerding was the guy in charge of designing, the visual language of all the characters and stuff. And my wife, who is also a fan of Ryan Meinerding, she got a little weirded out by that. She's like, wait, really? He did that? Like, and so she went down the rabbit hole of looking it up and found out it actually, I think probably because the two movies were in production at the same time, they had two different artists. One was on Iron Man and one was on this. And so that is why
connected is a very last minute decision.
Right. You can tell, you can feel that, right?
Yeah.
And so like I feel like
Diamond Select Hulk and then Iron Man's Marvel Legends Hulk. They kind of you kind of works. You squint a little bit, the scale's a little off.
Yeah. But so that's kind of my point, is I feel like there was a pendulum swing that happened as far as Hulk visual design from the Ang Lee, right? Because we all know Ang Lee Hulk, everybody was bitching and moaning. he looks like a big green baby, right? He just looks
Yeah.
like a big green round baby through the whole movie.
Hulk's
And so
jacked. This is like Ultimate Hulk. Like this,
this
honestly.
Hulk's jacked, but in a weird way where he didn't do leg day. Do you know what I mean? Like his legs, his proportions are a little off, and but also he has absolutely 0% body fat, and it creates these weird striations in his in every single muscle on his body.
It's
That's
like
a
a
little.
bodybuilder thing, though.
It's a little too much, though, right? Like, what? Like
I I
all I'm
like the
saying.
design of the Hulk.
Do you like it better than the Ruffalo
No,
one? Okay,
no, but
that's all I'm
do I
asking.
did
That's
I
all I'm
like
asking.
it better than the previous one?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's a pendulum swing, right?
yeah.
We went extreme on both ends, and then somehow we finally met in the middle with Ruffalo. And I think that's where the Hulk finally shines and looks the way we all feel comfortable with him.
You know what he's missing? He's missing the brow.
He's missing the brow. He's also missing any visual connection to Ed Norton. He looks nothing like Ed Norton.
Yeah.
And he's also missing like some thickness in the waist and the legs. Like it is. But that said, the action is super cool, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's really fun to watch him do the things that
this
he
is
does.
still like a newer. Up until this point, I mean, granted, we had Iron Man, but if you're a superhero movie with a CG heavy character, they're getting like 9 minutes of screen time tops.
Yeah, I mean, this was Weta. Weta did this,
Yeah.
and Weta already had a great track record for the Lord of the Rings movies at this time, So when I saw this movie, I was like, damn, Weta is getting way better than ILM at this point. You know what I mean? So, because ILM did the Ang Lee Hulk.
Like out of this movie, he is the Hulk for about 50 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
That's a cool thing. Like again, all these little merits that it has at the time. It was something that we hadn't seen.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not a bad movie by any stretch.
Yeah.
It's a better movie than a lot of what's come before it.
I think you know what my gauge is, and it's always the thing that I can't help. My gauge is what is the casual fan or the casual like normie who went to go see this movie because they got dragged there by somebody else. What do they think of this movie? And like, because I could take any casual to go watch Iron Man, and by the end of that movie, they're like, damn, Iron Man is cool, right? But when I took casuals to see the Incredible Hulk, and I'm having fun, and I'm like, oh man, he did the Hulk smash. He did the freaking clap, like he did the boxing gloves, like he did all these things. When I look over at the casuals that came with me to see this movie, and they're kind of like meh on this movie, and for me, that's a big deal because I think it says something that this is the lowest performing Marvel movie for a long, long time, right? Like in the box office, like it's for a long time. And it's because it didn't have that grab. Like it was missing something to sink your teeth into. Like, is the Hulk cool? Yeah. Does he do cool stuff? Sure. But like, I want the extra. I want the whole package. You know what I mean? Because I just got spoiled out of my mind watching Iron Man. And then I'm about to get spoiled out of my mind again a few weeks later when I go watch The Dark Knight. So between those two movies in that same summer, this movie drowned, right?
Is this a better movie if it would have come out first?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the fact that it was 4 weeks after Iron Man, that's so hard to compare or to not compare. You know what I mean? I think, but it says a lot. It's like talking about Venom. When we talk about Venom, we're like, man, if this movie came out in the 90s, it would have killed, right? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how these movies, when they come out, is part of how they're received, and it's important to that. The chronology matters because we want to watch growth in the industry. We want to watch growth in the way that visual storytelling is adapting comic books into a new medium, and it's important that we keep seeing growth because it as fans of these stories, it legitimizes them in a whole other space, and then they become legends forever. You know what I mean? And so whenever we see a stumble, it's hard. It's hard, you know. And I just want to point out, like this same year, later in the fall, Punisher Warzone came out too. Like, and so it's rough. It's rough. You know what I mean? Like I watched all three plus Dark Knight, and I'd rather forget that I watched Punisher Warzone that same year. You know what I mean? Like, and I did. It's easy to forget so much about Ed Norton's movie as well, just because there wasn't a lot of substance. You know, there was a lot of flash, and the flash is cool, but I like both. I like to have both to feel.
Yeah.
You gotta get a well balanced meal, right? You can't just have the cheeseburger. You gotta have something else to go with it. You know what I mean? So I think it makes me sound like a downer on this movie, but it's like I can honestly say I'm really happy that they replaced Ed Norton with Mark Ruffalo, because I think Mark Ruffalo brought what was missing for me to the Bruce Banner character. You know what I mean? Like I found him really quirky and really charming, whereas I just found Ed Norton to be really quirky.
Yeah, they do. He does a good job of showing the Bruce Banner qualities, but also just showing him doing Bruce Banner things.
But also the Hulk looks like him too, right?
Yeah,
like that's
they're
that
one and the same.
They're the same person, and that is awesome to me. And so but yeah, am I excited though? Like if we want to go through the, you know, the little bits of the story, let's talk about some other things that have paid off well. Martin Starr is the random college student in the university.
Pizza guy,
who Kevin Feige confirmed later on that is the same character that plays one of Peter Parker's teachers in the first two Spider-Man home movies. That's cute. That's really that's adorable. You know what I mean? Like, is it cool that you know, like Tim Blake Nelson is rumored to be coming back, or officially
not
coming
rumored.
back?
He's coming back.
It's official. I'm not trying to spoil everything.
That man was on his Comic-Con stage.
Okay.
He's coming back.
Fair enough. Tim Blake Nelson
coming back as the leader.
Reprising his role after 17 years as the leader. I think that's awesome.
Does that make him a shitty leader though? Like, I mean,
not necessarily if he's been orchestrating stuff in the background.
I would hope this movie reveals that he's been orchestrating a ton of stuff in the background.
That would be cool. I think it's cool that Liv Tyler's coming back too. I think it's cool that that, you know, this movie is also like an interesting love letter to the old Bill Bixby Lou Ferrigno TV show. There's a ton of references to that show. You know, like there's a Bill Bixby movie on TV in one scene.
Hitchhiking, and
the hitchhiking to the music. The music plays like they literally use the music. You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Hungry is a little, you know, play on the famous line. Also, the two college students that capture the footage of the Hulk battling the army. One of them is Jack McGee. The other is Jim Wilson. Jack McGee is the reporter in the old 70s TV show that is following the Hulk all over the country. And then, oddly enough, Jim Wilson is a character from the comics that happens to be Sam Wilson's nephew.
There you go.
I don't think that's gonna carry over for anything.
You never know.
But you know what I mean? Like that they were trying to plant a lot of cool Easter eggs. I don't know if you know the pizza guy, Stanley. That actor, he played the Incredible Hulk in the 1966 cartoon. Sorry, he played Bruce Banner. He played Bruce Banner in that. And Marvel liked him so much that a year later in the 67 Spider-Man cartoon, he played Peter Parker. So like that guy is really important to a lot of people's love of those characters, you know. So I think that's cool that, and obviously his name is, you know, Stanley. So like that's a little on the nose for me and stuff. But then also Doc Samson, played by Ty Burrell. is dating Betty, and Doc Samson's another really popular character from the Hulk comic books. That would be awesome if he came back as well, but it'd be
You
weird.
could.
It'd be weird,
You
yeah.
could.
But yeah, no, there's a lot going on. Like I like, do I think that the scene where they explain the contradiction between Emil Blonsky's nationality versus his accent reminds me of explaining how Arnold Schwarzenegger is jacked and also a scientist in Batman and Robin. It's a very, it gives the same energy for sure. It's like Russian born, raised in England, blah 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 blah. It's like,
Yeah.
guys,
I
it's a
don't
little,
read that much into it.
but do I
It's
like
fine.
Tim? Do I like Tim Roth? Yeah, I like Tim Roth. Do I think that they also screwed the pooch on his character design? Yes. Like
But they fixed it.
They did, and they never explain how they fixed it either.
Yeah, he just keeps evolving. He's just super irradiated.
okay.
That's the explanation, says the
Okay.
man who loves She-Hulk.
I mean, he first appeared in Shang-Chi again. No
For
explanation.
like a second. Yeah, but you got one. You got one the following summer.
Kinda, yeah. But in any case, like I think, yeah, there's a lot of cool love that went into this movie, and it deserves to be recognized and appreciated. I love the effort that they put into so much of this movie. I just wish more time was given to the characters, just a little bit more, like so, because I think we did get, if like you said, 50 minutes of the Hulk. Maybe that was a bit too much, maybe just a little bit, I don't know. But I mean, what, on a scale of 1 to 10, what'd you give this movie?
It's like a solid 7.
Yeah, I would give it no higher than a 7. I'd give it like a 6.5, something like that. 6.5, 7. It's a 7 because it's passing. I'm not gonna flunk it. I'm not gonna fail this movie. There's so many worse MCU movies than this. But I am. Are you excited that Captain America is kind of like a bootstrapped Hulk sequel?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
Do you not think it's strange that the Captain America is fighting the Hulk? Like,
no,
a Red Hulk. Sorry, the Red Hulk.
No, people. I hate that conversation because like people like that's the cool part of where we're at with the MCU. I think a better counter to that question is, to me, it makes sense that Captain America's fighting the president, right?
I think it's cool that Captain America's fighting the president. I'm saying I think 9 times out of 10, Captain America versus a Red Hulk is going to get mollywopped. Okay, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but have we seen a Captain America drift out in Wakanda tech?
No, but he also doesn't have super soldier serum too.
He's got the magic metal.
He's a bag of flesh and bones in there. So we'll see. I want to see things explained, and I want it to make sense. And but do you want Mark Ruffalo to be in this movie?
I think he is.
Do you expect
I don't need him
Mark
to be.
Ruffalo?
I don't need him to be.
Oh, so you're not going to be pissed if he's not?
No.
Wow. So what's your I'm gonna be pissed, since we've now shifted into Captain America Brave New World talk? What's your I'm gonna be pissed?
I think it's the Samuel Stearns if he's not pulling strings beyond this movie, or he hasn't been pulling strings beyond this movie. I fully expect him to be the one behind the Red Hulk. I think that's the biggest. I gotcha. But I would have hoped he's doing. They give good reason for where he has been for the past 17 years, or I guess in that universe, like 25 years. And maybe hopefully he's doing some nefarious shit.
What's the good reason they give?
I hope they give a good reason.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see. Okay. Yeah. The weird thing to me is, like, I don't feel like his character was intrinsically evil in Incredible Hulk. Do you know what I mean? Was he Was he careless with the way he conducted his scientific experiments? Yes, definitely. But I don't see him as being somebody who was like, I want to take over the world. So I think there's a gap to fill, right? I think that's the biggest gap to fill. Like logically, I totally understand how Ross would end up being the Red Hulk, like after all this. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
tracks. That makes sense to me. I would like to point out that it is awkward on rewatching this movie to see that General Ross's job in that movie is to capture the Hulk, and he's so bad at it. He just through that whole movie, he just completely fumbles that through like every single time. And next thing you see, he's the Secretary of Defense. And I'm like, talk about failing upward, man. Like this
Again,
guy,
real life
I
politics.
know, right? I'm just saying. And then that guy's job in that movie is to like secure all the superheroes to sign the Sokovia Accords. Fails upward, starts a civil war in Germany. Fast forward, President of the United States. Yeah, it tracks. It tracks. It all tracks. I hear myself right now as I say it all. So we're good. We're
Well,
good.
we said it all, and you've heard it all. I think that'll wrap up our whole talk for this week.
Okay.
Next week, some new Spider-Man comes out. We will be talking about some new Spider-Man, maybe some other things. We'll see how that new Spider-Man, how juicy our new animated Spider-Man is.
You
But
heard it there. If it's not juicy, we've got backup content to
we
talk about.
got backup content, but we're hoping
Uh,
for juicy Spider-Man.
Ricky's hoping for juicy. I'm
Uh,
excited. I like Spider-Man. Obviously, that's an understatement. So I'm excited to see it. But by the way, before we go, Harley Quinn episode 2, they had to babysit King Shark's. Like I don't know what is it a pod? What is a group of
pod.
sharks?
It's a pod. Yeah,
I know that's dolphins, but
I
anyways,
think it's a pod.
it's King Shark's babies. It's like eight little shark babies. It ends with them going in a feeding frenzy in a public or in a swimming pool and just biting the limbs off so many people. It's pretty funny. But I do realize that like why you're not watching the show, and I've been saying it for years now. That show lost its edge, and that edge was Dr. Psycho. So I don't blame you for not watching it, but I just wanted to check in with the fans and say, I'm watching Harley Quinn. It's okay, but it's not what it used to be.
Not the same.
Yeah.
Not the
It
same.
it needs the misogyny. It just does. It needs it. You
know? And on that, we will end this week's
Well,
show.
he's the villain. We can end the
Ladies
show.
and gentlemen.